Hello, everybody. My name is Frizzell, and today we are going to cover a very important topic for you, both as a student in your academic career, as well as an adult out in the real world. So, today we are navigating the maze, understanding copyright guidelines. So, first of all, you got to know, what is copyright? All right, so the definition of copyright. Copyright is a legal protection given to creators of original works, granting them exclusive rights to control the use and distribution of their creations. Copyright exists to encourage creativity and ensure creators are rewarded for their efforts. All right, so some original creative works that you probably encounter daily would be music, songs, movies, books, pictures, artwork, etc. Copyright is a thing because if I spend a lot of time and I work really hard creating something, I don't want other people to take credit for that, right? And so that's very basically why copyright is a thing. We're going to go more in depth about the purpose on the next slide. All right, here we are with the purpose. So, copyright balances the right of creators and the general public's use of creative works. So, it protects whoever created the thing, let's say a song, but it also lets the general public, everyone else who didn't make the song, use that creative work. Okay, so it balances the rights of both. Copyright encourages the production of creative work. It does this by providing creators with economic incentives and gives them rights over how their works are used. So if I make a song and I put that song out there and someone wants to use that song, they can pay what's called a royalty fee, and I would get money every time that person uses that song. That's my economic incentive. Right? So if I'm making money, I'm probably going to keep creating more original works because I want more money, right? It also gives me, if I am a creator, the right on how my work is used. So if I create the song and I don't want the song to be used in certain concepts, then I have the right to say that my work will not be used in that way. And that's the beauty of copyright and why it's here, what its purpose is. Some of the rights given to copyright holders can, but don't necessarily always, include the exclusive right to reproduce, distribute, display, perform, and create derivative works based on their original creations. For the derivative works, I know you may not necessarily know what that means. So a derivative work is if I take somebody else's original work and I make something based off of it, that is a derivative of the original work. So, copyright holders may say only they can create derivative works, or they may allow it to be used as a derivative work. So, for example, if I create a song, I may say that yes, people can create derivative works based on my song, and they are allowed to sample parts of my song. So if you hear a sample in a song of an older song, that's typically a derivative work. These rights let creators decide how their works are used and who can benefit from them. So we've gone over the rights that copyright holders get. There are some copyright limitations. Okay, so the general public is allowed what is called fair use of copyrighted works. So fair use allows a limited use of copyrighted works without permission for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, and research. There are 4 factors that determine fair use. Fair use is not a one-size-fits-all determinator of if something is fair use or not. It is on a case-by-case basis. So it is sort of a scale, and you use these 4 factors to help you determine if you are using the copyrighted work in a way that is fair. So these 4 factors are: 1, the purpose and character of the use; 2, the nature of the copyrighted work; 3, the amount and substantiality of the portion used; and 4, the effect on the potential market for the original work. If you're not exactly certain what all those things mean, don't worry. We're about to get into it right now, a little more in depth on what the 4 factors of fair use are. So the first one is purpose and character of the use. This factor looks at why and how you're using someone else's work. If you're using it in a new or different way, like for educational or nonprofit purposes, it's more likely to be considered fair use. But if you're just using it for the same purpose or to make money, it's less likely to be fair use. One example of this might be that I create a piece of art, okay, and I copyright my art is copyrighted, and I say no one can use a picture of my art without getting permission from me. However, teachers or professors would be allowed to show a picture of the art to the class, especially if it's a art criticism class. So they are allowed to use a picture of my art without permission because they are analyzing my artwork. The teacher is not making money off of it. They are not printing copies of it or anything like that. They're using it for an educational purpose. So it is more likely to be considered fair use. Next, we've got the nature of the copyrighted work. This factor considers what kind of work you're using. It's more likely to be fair use if you're using factual or already published works. However, if it's a highly creative or unpublished work, you need a stronger reason to claim fair use. So for the part about it being factual, this is basically because facts are beneficial to the public, so you're more likely to be allowed to use factual information than you would be using a quote or information from a fictional piece of work. For the part of if it's published or unpublished, basically, the creator gets to control the right of when something is first published and how it is first published. So you are less likely to get fair use if it is a unpublished work. All right, our third factor is the amount and substantiality of the portion used. This factor looks at how much of the original work you're using. Using a small or less important part of a work is more likely to be considered fair use. But if you're using the most important or central part, even if it's a small piece, it may not be fair use. For the amount, a lot of times you can use a certain percentage of a song without having to pay royalties for said song. There is not a certain legal percentage of how much of a work you can use, but the shorter the amount, the more likely you are to be able to claim fair use. And the fourth factor, the effect on the potential market for the original work. This factor considers whether your use of the copyrighted material could harm the market for the original work. If your use could replace or compete with the original work, it is less likely to be fair use. However, if your use doesn't really affect the market or could even help promote the original work, it's more likely to be fair use. So for example, if I use a picture of an artwork and I start printing it and selling the posters of that artwork, I'm affecting the market for the original work because I'm saying, hey, you can buy this poster of it for cheaper from me, which means you are not as likely to buy that artwork from the original creator. However, again, using the teacher example, if my use of the artwork in class I just use it once to show the whole class. I'm not really affecting the market, okay? In fact, you could even say because I am showing it, you are more likely to buy that piece of work from the original creator now. That's the effect of the potential market for the original work. All right, so now that we've got the basics of what copyright is, we're going to get into what copyright infringement is, which is what we need to be wary of. So what is copyright infringement? It is the unauthorized use, reproduction, or distribution of copyrighted material without the permission of the copyright owner. Examples of copyright infringement include illegally downloading or sharing music, movies, or books, using images without permission or citation, or plagiarizing someone else's work. So these are the consequences if you do commit copyright infringement. So copyright infringement is a violation of the law, which means it can result in legal consequences, including financial penalties. However, what is more likely to apply to you as a student are the academic consequences. Depending on the severity and the rules of the teacher and school, it may result in a failing grade on an assignment, a failing grade for the entire course, or academic probation. There is also the fact that it can prevent future opportunities, right? So it can harm your likelihood of getting accepted into college or for certain scholarships if it is known that you have violated copyright. So how to avoid copyright infringement? There are four main ways for you as a student to avoid copyright infringement. First is to use things that are in the public domain. So using works that are labeled as public domain or licensed under Creative Commons, which allows for more flexible usage. Another main way is to cite your works. Anytime you quote or, yes, even paraphrase another person's work, you need to cite it and give credit to the author. The third way is fair use, understanding whether your use of copyrighted material falls within fair use guidelines. And finally, create and use your own artwork, music, and ideas wherever possible, and create your own original works to use. There is another way that doesn't really apply to you yet as students, but I do want to let you know about it, and that is to obtain permission. So this means you would reach out to the creator of the work to get permission to use their art in a presentation of yours. However, that requires time and is typically more for a commercial usage of the work. So for example, if a movie wanted to use someone's song in their work, they would have to get permission because they are using it in a commercial thing that they are wanting to make money on. Okay? All right, so a quick summary of what we've learned today. Why is copyright important? It's important to keep in mind as students, consumers, creators, and future professionals. Why do you care about copyright? You need to protect your academic integrity and contribute to a culture of respect for intellectual property. Avoid the negative consequences that follow when copyright is infringed upon. What are the best practices in dealing with copyright? Use public domain or Creative Commons works whenever possible. Cite your sources correctly and ethically. Understand fair use and if fair use applies. Create original works and seek permission wherever and whenever possible. Now you're ready to face the world knowing what you need to know about copyright. Speaking of copyright, I gotta give credit where credit is due. This presentation template was created by SlidesGo and includes icons by Flat Icon and infographics and images by FreePic. And here are my references. Thank you so much for paying attention today. I hope all of this helps and you have a better grasp on what copyright is, how to avoid infringement upon it, and everything else you need to know. Thank you. Have a good day.